Hi guys, this is just a super quick update video. Not really an update video, but it's just a super quick kind of lighter hearted video to pop up here instead of just focusing on everything not negative but serious and kind of hard to hear. So I wanted to pop up and do a nicer video. I wanted to do a video on some of the most surprisingly rewarding reptiles or amphibians that most people don't give enough credit to. Of course, California king snakes are my favorites. I like corn snake hybrids. I love ball pythons, especially getting into like the crazier morphs. Those are my favorites, and they always will be, like, hands down. But I wanted to do a quick little update video on 5 amphibians and reptiles that I find super rewarding that most people don't necessarily first think of when they think about getting one. First is just going to be cliche, I suppose, but we're going to say leopard geckos, because I have a bunch of breeder leopard geckos that are some really cool morphs and colors, and maybe they're pretty hardy and they can be easy to handle. They're not the most friendly always, but once you start learning the different colors and morphs, I have one that, just to dumb it down, like, it's like 3 shades of charcoal gray, and it's just the coolest thing in the world, and just all the different patterns and types and the chocolate sea albinos, the bell albinos, just there's everything, the blazing blizzards. They're just, which I have a couple of all of those because I love them so much. I think I've got about 30 leopard geckos that are part of our forever family of lizards. I will never rehome any of them because they're all in breeding pairs, and I love them to death. And they're fun, and they're sassy in a personality, but they're also hardy and really good animals. Again, snakes, California king snakes, corn snakes and fancier hybrids, and really nice morphs of ball pythons will always take my #1 spot. But I wanted to do a less popular video for the less popular guys that I found really rewarding. Next are tomato frogs, would be #2. They are incredibly cool. They have like a glue that they can like sweat out almost, or put out on their body. That glues predators' mouths shut when they try to bite them. So they literally, up to an hour, like, their mouth is like glued shut, and they have plenty of time to get away. And they're hilarious and funny, and they're so comical, and they just have personalities. They start recognizing you. They move around a lot more than certain species of animals, of frogs and such, and toads. They're just really awesome, and they're very minimal on the upkeep, on care, on feeding, and they're a huge reward. Number 3 is without a doubt Pac-Man frogs. They're awesome. They are so cute. They need to have a good amount of diversity in their diet. I give them rodents every other day, and then I feed them every day. I'll give them a lot of insects that are gut loaded, and then I give them a rodent every other day, for the young ones every 3 days, and just really make sure they have a good diverse diet. But they don't move around a whole lot. They're not really handleable. I'm not even going to cut that out because we all look silly sometimes. But they're not really the best to handle, because if you don't have the Repta gloves, we can damage their pores, and it's really not good for their skin. But get some reptile gloves and don't handle them too often, and they are just really awesome to look at and to have around and take care of. And they're funny and adorable, and I just really love watching them soak and eat and just be the cutest, happiest little dudes that are really awesome. Another one is Central American banded geckos, and they are awesome. They take like nothing. They barely eat anything. They don't need any really big requirements, and they take up no room because they like small areas. But they are nice and gentle to hold. They're not really flighty or snappy or mean once you slowly work with them. And all around, they're easy keepers, hardy animals, and they're really neat because they're really little, so they don't take up a lot of space, but they have personality and they're cool. They have a lot of different patterns. There's some other banded gecko species out there that I really like too. So I would put most just banded geckos together, and they're really cool and worth it. And just awesome, very underrated lizards, which I hope more people get into them because they're really, really cool. And then on this list, I would say it was really hard for me to go and pick like a last list. But I'd say for a cheap, affordable lizard, that they're kind of like a display lizard, like the tokay gecko, where they're not meant to be handled a lot. But if you have like a really, really, really cool setup that, you know, is just a big, nice, with lots of branches to climb on terrarium that can be like a spotlight, a showstopper thing in the center of your room, and you like something fun to watch, long-tailed lizards. They are fun. They are so cool. I have 4 or 5 right now, 4. I have a breeding pair, and they are like, have bright green fluorescent stripes down their sides, and then I've got one that's got black stripe down his back, green on the sides, and yellow spots lining his whole body, and then one that's got dark green, light green, and yellow spots. They are so cool. They are funny. You can feed them very basic stuff like crickets and occasionally a treat of some butterworms or waxworms. They love it. You're not really supposed to handle them a lot, but I've got one of the 4 that loves me, just recognizes me. She's super old, so she'll come and just crawl into my hand. I'll keep my hand deep in her thing, not take her out or risk her tail dropping or anything. But she's a sweetheart. I love her, and they're really funny to watch. Their tokay geckos, of course, are fun too. Cresteds are fun. There's lots of good animals, but they're super affordable. They live for an okay amount of time, and they're easy to feed, really easy to house, really, really nice. They're not like anoles that climb up the glass so they get out of everything. These guys do good, you know, and aren't escape artists if you don't have things going all the way up to the top. But they have a really good quality of life as like a showpiece, and a nice big with tons of climbs and leaves and natural, you know, sticks and wood and stuff in there. They like really thrive well, and you can tell they're happy, and they recognize you more than an anole does, in my opinion. They seem to actually know you, just like the one of my 4 comes up and loves to say hi. She'll let me scratch her little chin and just shut her eyes and look so happy. So they're a lot more rewarding than people give them credit for, and they can be super cool looking and have some crazy patterns, so they're worth checking out. So there are the 5 underrated amphibians and reptiles that I absolutely love, and I have them all in my personal forever keeper of families that I use for educational shows and for therapy purposes, and I'll never get rid of any of them because they're part of my little foundation family. Of course, I mainly focus on the snakes. That's 90% of the focus, but I absolutely love, I've got some hamsters, a couple hairless hamsters and stuff like that they're really funny and really sweet, and then some odds and ends with the amphibians and reptiles that they're just underrated, and they'll always have a huge part in my heart and in my home because they make my days a lot better. So I love you guys. Sorry that this was shaky. My car is being shaky right now, and so is this tripod thing that's like hooked to my car. So I love you guys. Hang in there, and I will catch up with you all soon.